Hello, and welcome to another episode of my Stellaris Let's Play. This is Northstar. I hope you folks are well, taking care of each other, and being kind to yourselves. Don't have a ton of time here, so I thought I'd start recording right away. Talk about a couple things in my mind, get them out. So I less distracted while playing. First of all, I started a multiplayer campaign, which will have been up for some time by the time this posts. I'll talk about that in a second. Also, stuff has been chaos. The Corinthian Empire, we're doing individualist machine empire there. Stuff has been chaos politically in the country. All sorts of nuts stuff going on. I mean, I guess that's been the world for a while now lately. Been seeing this guy, I think I mentioned some other videos, Tad Stormer. He's John Hopkins professor or lecturer and a visiting scholar at the University of Southern Denmark. Keeps going all over YouTube. I think they're serious blind spots in the stuff he says. I mention because I'm sure some of you folks have seen his stuff too. He seems to be quite prolific and have a lot of views. What's remarkable is his sometimes anything but class analyses of things, oversights, and gosh, there's something I was going to say, intelligence, slipped my mind because I'm tired. Long COVID. For those new to my channel, anyways, I am disabled long COVID. It does lead to my mind wandering all sorts of random directions, so I apologize if it bothers some of you. I just get thoughts out, and hopefully it's entertaining. The very topics I talk about, whatever's on my mind. Hurts my energy, hurts my ability to sometimes play the most quickly. I apologize. Anyways, my multiplayer game, Individualist Machine Empire, I should mention that, also. Tried out and saw, as I kind of expected, that individualist machines are utterly overpowered. Particularly 4 point whatever now, based on how, and well, actually not particularly, probably. There were more before when you could control pop assembly and what templates are made. Now you can't, but they still produce pops far, 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 far quicker than biological empires. And apparently they're not affected by the logistics growth, which means overcrowding, so their pop growth. And it looks like even empire growth scaling isn't affect them, which it used to before 4.0. So I guess actually they did get more powerful, if they have less control. You can't make specific templates produced, which is annoying. Or at least they haven't figured out how to for the multiplayer game. Create a bunch of specialized templates, because you can do that right from the beginning of the game as Machine Empire, but you obviously can't as a biological species gene mod from day one. It's one of the many ways, besides much higher pop growth and the ability to diversify resource use in interesting ways, especially now there's biological ships, because you can take biological ships to still use food. You can obviously run robots of energy. Of course, you'll still use some minerals for building, but you won't have the early grade mineral crunch because you won't need to make as many alloys because of the food. And because your pops don't eat food as a machine empire, you also don't have a food crunch that potentially diversified allows you early on, it's especially now with the automation mechanics, diversified production is often worthwhile to have at least one of each district, and not all planets are equally suitable for everything. For instance, this world's only really good as an ag world. I could do a mining district and a generator district. I also did a Molebots as the build for that multiplayer game, and Molebots are apparently quite powerful because they can build a much greater variety of buildings here in the build slots for mining districts, including housing, which could, say replace a surface quarry, and then instead of this, I could do something else here, like a medical center if I wanted. Or or just have more housing overall, or another alloy foundry. It gives flexibility. I'm pretty sure Agrarian Idle lets you build a greater variety of buildings in the ag slots. So it's a little better than it used to be in 4.0, but it's still not amazing. Of course, people get the false impressions in early game Civic. It's actually a little more of a mid-game Civic when you have more demand for housing and amenities. And maybe you've already built an arcology project or two. I don't know, at least I've seen that argument, but it's not an amazing Civic. Subterranean uncapped mine districts and has gotten substantially better. Neither of them are, quote, S tier, but they're strong. I'd say Gray Idol would be solidly B tier and those kind of tier things, and Subterranean B plus A tier. Used to be weaker, to be clear, and it's still not the very best build. But machine individualists are absolutely overpowered S tier and the nonsense tier stuff. And that's why I get annoyed when people sit there, and I ran on the forums a little bit how the Knights Talk to God get nerfed in updates. People are like, oh, it's not nerfed. No, if it's too powerful. You can't do it as a machine empire, I'm pretty sure, even individualist. So it's biological only origin, and biologicals are all much weaker than machines. So any claim that a given origin is overpowered when it's limited to the weaker species class and it doesn't nearly make up for how overpowered machine empires are is nonsense. No Knight's Empire will ever be stronger than an individualist machine start. So it's not overpowered, and I do resent a little bit it's been nerfed. I mean, this is probably just not liking change. I got used to having a certain power level, and then Knights gets a little bit weaker relative to everything else with each patch, and you just get people resent it because they don't want to play it, and or they have a get favorite origin I don't like at all that's been hurt. It is interestingly possible to eventually play as an individualist machine empire here. Even if I was wrong about releasing vassals, I know there's one way you can swap to another empire, and that's a machine uprising, which usually generates gestalts, but now has a chance to generate an individualist machine empire. So if there's no other, quote, legit way, you can absolutely have an AI uprising and choose to play as the machines instead of your original empire, win the war, and you're now machine empire as your founder species. So with all new ascension perks and everything. So it's absolutely legit doing the successor thing, even if it turns out I do something, but some might not consider legit. Let's see. I had to undo this fix for the multiplier, but I re-implemented it. Once I've got robots, I'll probably undo it just because I want to go back and get the achievement for bubbles. You know what? Let's see if bubbles was around in this before I'm just curious. The lost juvenile space amoeba. I think this was saved before I wanted that achievement. Yeah, follow me home, I think it is. See a machine pop being assembled. Powered, as I said. Glancing hit. Wow. Movement is in the clouds. That's the one. Yep, and out there. So, yeah, this is before. It's before I even finished the anomaly. So I can absolutely go back, repeat if I want for the achievement. I might not do that in camera just because it's annoying, or maybe I will on chat with you folks. Either way, I can go back, repeat that achievement. Maybe other ones I missed a little bit. Undoing the bug fix they implemented so that the checksum, I'll have to verify the game files apparently to restore a checksum to get achievements, but yeah. It's annoying to me that it's blocked out of that stuff. These are debris from the cultist ships I destroyed. I think I saved right after. Where are they even going? It just destroyed a cultist fleet. Oh, they're gathering near the hyper plane breach point. But yeah, was also wrong about something else besides why I've never really done machine empires. I can't say I was wrong about thinking they were powered, but was it wrong? I said I was wrong. I was wrong about something anyways. Whether did I say something else I was wrong about? I think I had something in my mind, but maybe I didn't say it. Perils of long COVID. 10 minutes, so I should get going here in a sec. Give me a sec. Oh yeah, pop assembly. So I thought that was affected by Empire growth scaling. It doesn't seem it is, which means I already have clone vats, so I should be able that bonus growth apparently ignores, at least seems to indicate. Overall growth is 8.62. That should be 5.95 plus 0.43. That well. This says 1.5. That's of a specific. So 5.95 plus 1.5. 6.95, 7 point something. That's base growth, and then it gets multiplied by 45%, the 5.95. So it's basically 6, almost 9, 10.5 minus 15%. It does look like the bonus growth is affected in the clone vats. But I definitely saw with the individual machines that maybe they just don't have enough pops to suffer the country growth scale. Wow, I could be wrong about that. It's definitely not affected by overcrowding, but maybe it is affected by the country growth scale as long as that's active. So, anyways, it does mean, anyways, I don't know. Comparing cloning and mutation authorities, I think I looked at this before. And you'll have more pops cloning, but the doubling time gets very, very long. And mutation gives you more effective pops. I think I figured out, especially I assumed relatively low margins unlike civilians and squires, but maybe there's an argument to be made for taking cloning ascension with just raw pop numbers. I don't know. Since we messing with vassals and sometimes releasing them and then reselling pops after reabsorbing and re-releasing, I think I somewhat get around some of that. So, cloning may have less advantage. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. There's stuff I knew, but I've forgotten. Also, this, on the other hand, don't count your planets. This was not a thing that gave scaled research. I should have remembered this. Before. This is the cosmic egg. Our scientists have discovered something rather monstrous. The mountain range they scanned earlier was actually the outer membrane of a gigantic egg. It's uncertain what behemoth could lay such an egg and what horror would hatch from it. Orbo 3A. So this moon is actually the egg of like void spawn or something. You can either add a society deposit or add a special project, which takes a while, and as far as I know, doesn't time out, which I'd rather do. This actually has a chance to give scaled society research, and it gives a bigger deposit in the long run. It can kill a scientist. I remember seeing this before. But importantly, I'm the one who has to work this, so the hive mind won't gain access to a society research from it. I can leave that secret project as long as I want. I know for sure those secret projects don't disappear when borders expand. Anomalies might. Secret projects do not. Alright, anyways, custodians haven't sealed their borders to me yet because I returned that cargo shipment. Lost in space, which gives space spiders and a prison complex. Oh, prisons. And I've been reading a book, Words of Radiance in the Storm My Archive series, but I was just thinking about, I have the privilege of sitting here reading, and I was thinking, any of you seen like the Green Mile and stuff, they have movies about like prisoners reading books in libraries, but I'm pretty sure I've seen documentaries about other huge numbers of books are banned to them, so they're basically not allowed to read. I mean, the reality, the prison industrial complex in the United States, I'm referring to the US, not other countries, and the mythos of it are entirely different. The system is basically evil, punitive, doesn't rehabilitate people, doesn't really deter crime. Most crimes, of course, either crimes of passion or like anger being passion. I'm saying so crimes of passion or desperation, or the occasional psychopath who thinks they'll get away with it, doesn't care, and isn't going to be deterred no matter how bad the prison sentence. So prisons are just needlessly harsh. They're in part about free forced labor, i.e. slavery, because slavery is not forbidden in the U.S. Constitution, even with amendments for prisoners. This made me even think about SimCity 4 and like building prisons is the source of money, federal prisons in the game, and it's kind of sketchy that you can do that. But yeah, weak prison complex. There's also Lost in Space. I think this is Space Spiders. I don't remember if the secret project times out. Come to it later. I'm pretty sure it doesn't give any scale to anything, but I just don't feel like talking about it or reading it right now. I'm going to here. Let's see. Got all these robot assembly plants in progress. This one's building faster because of the architectural interest governor. There's also the sector governor because sector capital is, of course, my empire capital. There's an argument for swapping Gabriella Flores here to one of the other places to get robot assembly plants done faster in them. Let's see. Oh yeah, I did manage to convince Joe, the guy I'm doing the multiplayer Let's Play with. That way these guys actually produce a little bit of net amenities. Interesting to note. 300 amenities from the Pre-Sapiens provide some amenities as well as the preserve writing society and unity research. Exchange for a little bit of pop growth and not being able to develop as many districts until you uplift. But I did manage to convince Joe to do what Astrogenesis Inc., which is the megacore version of Genesis Guides, run. I'll probably switch into Genesis Guides as the individualist machines because you can still do that. It's not forbidden. Pretty sure, yeah, the Civic can be taken by individualist machines. So, yeah. As my Molbot run, which start off with rapid replicators and hyperlubrication baths, which are good, unlike the mutagenic spas. They just allow machine empires to go crazy with pop growth, even more than they already have an advantage over organics, and that just puts them so far ahead, especially with the like mass-produced traits and such. It's insane. I mean, yeah, sure, that's a specialized build that makes the most of the machine empire's advantages, but even the best organic builds won't come close to the best to more average machine builds, and then the ones like that are optimized. It's ridiculous. It's not even fully optimized. I'm not sure if I'd start with the race species traits, given that I can't control what's assembled. It's a whole mess. Alright. Some pause. Was I buying something recently with trade value? I should do some alloys before No, I can trade for him, can I? Though are in touch with their inner beings like few species, their magnificence may hold the key to the great mysteries of life. And yet, it's not considered positive relations. The threshold for that is too darn high. Yeah, I can get way more alloys by trade in a diplomatic deal than by buying the internal market. Yeah, I'll hold on to those because a bigger deal will be more profitable. And that's not enough to start on another starbase, which I want to do. So we get me up to 8. I have starbase capacity of 10 now, and before long I'll have 12. Starbases, which will feed hydroponics, which, yeah, resources also well balanced. But yeah, individual machines can also get the loyalty circuits species trait, which is just, it's so overpowered, I'm sorry, but that reduces the problems of crime. There's no question that machines are so much more powerful than biologics, so nobody should be arguing that origins that machines can't take are overpowered. They aren't. I think some of the weaker origins should be buffed. I don't think any of the weird biologic only ones, I don't think any of the biologic only ones should be nerfed. I'm all for faster gameplay and being able to do more stuff. Right. Here we go. Play some slower when I'm getting the hang of things again. Unfortunately, that can take a while. Let's see here. Was surveying most of the system on the way north. There's an argument to be made for at least entering each of these systems. Like, you can't claim a system you don't even have sensor data on. Like there, that's a problem. So maybe I'll poke my head over that way. Maybe we can go this and then get this in the way there. That's probably makes sense based on where the star is surveyed from.
Construction completed.
Ah, yes. Starbase fully developed. Not much to do there. Wonder if I went and rewatched my last video, if I would note something was up to that probably have more of an idea what's going on. I have quite made mistakes in these runs, but I only have so much ability to focus. Stuff has been tough in real life. Having my very survival at risk is very stressful. And it is at risk. No long COVID. Now not even family to stay with because of that situation, which is some low-grade abuse, at least low-grade by my estimate. I hope some may disagree with abuse and some may think it was much higher than low-grade, but that's where I estimate it. And due to the stress, I mean, I'm making excuses. Maybe the person treated me poorly, but they weren't always like that. The stress of having me stay with them when I was disabled long COVID, it was just too much for them. Clearly, and I had in their past trauma. It was verbal, emotional abuse. It wasn't physical usually. I got slapped once or twice. It was more like constantly denigrating, well, not constantly, but frequently denigrating me, putting me down, yelling at me when I hadn't done anything to deserve it. Sometimes with apologies, often without. Apologies later, that is. Thriga system. Head of research has arrived. Is this person's in the Deneb system? This one's trying to make their way to find other empires. I'll bypass this so I have an idea. Survey one world here right on the way through. Go here, hoping to find another Empire science ships or something. Yeah, I've actually gotten some help from all people. My father, which I didn't expect financially. Well, sometimes he does pull through in ways I don't expect, but it's probably small, limited, not going to be repeat amount of help. I really do need to get SSI approved, and there's a ticket to work program. I think I heard about that. Maybe they can help me get retraining to acquire skills to do some of the jobs that I don't have the skills for that I might be able to do with my long COVID, because I don't have the skills to do anything that's compatible with my disability. But there are some jobs that theoretically, maybe, especially with they have like these employment networks that can help ensure employers will obey laws protecting people with disabilities against hiring discrimination. So, of course, the whole point of the program is to wean you off of SSI or SSDI, and I wouldn't be surprised if every dollar you earn, they give you $1 less in benefits, so it might not even help me keep my head above water, since SSI isn't enough to pay rent. Because poverty cliff bullshit, it should be that it slowly drops off so you get some reward for your work, but that's not the way of capitalism and our vile system in the US. I really want out of this country. I mean, otherwise, at some point, I'm going to end up in, like, prison. This makes me think of it. Some SimCity 4 stuff. Thinking about city planning, which I'll probably do a run of that soon, makes me think of it. Because, at some point, we're going to, one way or another, if nothing else, there'll be political prisoners in my political beliefs someday. You know, and if I end up homeless, a lot of homeless people get in trouble, sometimes just so they have a roof over their head in jail. Potentially do things. And since, I don't know, I wouldn't be able to survive street homeless with my long COVID, but they do, you know, the most things that don't, they try and find victimless crimes that will still get them in jail. It's tough, but of course that would ruin my future too, but that, and be an act of desperation. I'd probably do everything I can to avoid that. But if I were freezing to death on the streets, I can't, you know, nobody can guarantee. All people are only human in a day. We have this idea that we wouldn't do something until we're in that situation. Maybe I wouldn't, but, you know, it's fucking wrong that people with disabilities end up sometimes homeless because the SSI system will keep throwing up obstacles until people run out of money. So far, they haven't done anything illegit. They've just, oh, you're missing paperwork, and not naming what paperwork is missing, which is shitty. They should name the missing documents, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try and claim that medical paperwork that clearly shows them disabled doesn't or something. They contract that out to a private for-profit agency, that part of the decision. These pricks are, well, vile. So they'll try all sorts of things. People usually end up having to take them to court, and that's not something I don't know if I have the energy and ability to do with how little energy I have due to my very disability, ironically. So, okay. Let's see. Technician job, so it won't generate any civilians in HESIC unless I change job priorities. Pull up on miners here. I got enough farmers for my needs. Wait, when did the technician jobs reset? I would have sworn that I lowered this enough to have some squires. Well, Check back. 23.95 pops there now. $2,400. So they grew 5. More squires. Still not good enough, really. All right. More squires. Oh. Can do that. Doesn't have to be multiples of 10. No. That's... But that's enough. Yeah, to bring crime down. Below 10% by improving pop happiness. I don't need even this many forcers. You're cops. I don't need any innocent. Those pops be better served as farmers. For now, anyhow. One thing about the hyperlubrication path is Envision's machines uses a lot of minis for pop growth, but that's not terrible. And early on, you can just build a little luxury housing to do that, which also comes in handy if you eventually get a biological secondary species that actually benefits from logistic growth. But it, you know, housing for very little labor if you have to build slots early and then later run entertainers when you start to run out of build slots. You actually start with a luxury housing even in individual machines, so. Alright. But yeah, I've always tried to keep my nose clean and such. I was just thinking about comparing the US justice system to like Finland or Sweden's. How much more just and the systems are actually designed to help people, and the welfare systems. God, I would love to be in one of those countries compared to this. I said a long time I'd like to get out of the US, but I was going to try to go to med school in the US because I was stuck, and then do a residency abroad when I finally had some skills that might help me get out of the country. Or do a med school abroad. I was also going to apply overseas some, but foreign med schools aren't always as good, and there's obstacles doing them. They don't always accept people out of the US except like Caribbean, but I was thinking more like Australia or Ireland, which Ireland is in the EU. Gives you some freedom of movement if you eventually become an Irish citizen, but throughout the EU. That's not exactly my idea of my favorite country in Europe. It's actually fairly neoliberal, unlike, say, the Nordic countries. They don't have a particularly well-funded welfare system in comparison. It's have a lot of the same injustices as the US, just less pronounced, basically.
Engaging hostile forces.
Oop. So much for gathering. That's liaison. Side. This is a mining fleet. Get them on the way to that red prop fleet. Hopefully not losing any ships. The shields will help with that. Even the Bracer class has some shielding. And the Buckler, plenty of shields. Actually, not that much more. 150 versus 125. My endurance don't use shields, so laser's the right weapon against them. Got enough fleet power, hopefully I don't lose any ships. Maybe I should send Bubbles in ahead and just let her tank some hits and do a little damage before the rest of the fleet. My endurance are a lot tougher. It's not like it would have risked losing her. Oh yeah, I'm at risk of losing a ship or two. We're suffering some damage that will need repairs. Oh well. Say these, well, as I say, these pops will have to work in the robot assembly plants eventually, won't they? Oop. That should have occurred to me earlier. Darn it. That should have been obvious. Why did I unplug those pops? They're not going to demote. Oh well. That's why the mistakes made. Gotta be forgiving of myself. Similarly, do this because those pops are just gonna end up needing to work. All the enforcers will just turn over to roboticists. There's not enough time. I don't know how close. Some of these might have been on the verge of demoting. Maybe. Here I'll free up medical workers to shoot. Yeah. Oh well. Mistakes made. It's gonna happen. Invariably. Indubitably. That didn't reset the timer into motion. That was dumb of me. I think if I don't pause, it doesn't do it. I don't know. Not playing my best, but does it really matter? Probably not. Get something out here, video for you guys, or maybe a video that gets cut in two. There's two videos. It's like cool. Squares also I meant. I know 14 night jobs, which produce a base of 6 research and 7 unity, which is a base value of 20. That means the value of a square is like around 7 each. Okay, so it's less than a technician. Does that to tech rate? No. Whatever the heck that's worth. calculations there. It's probably pretty close in value. 5 value plus, well, the menus are worth a lot more than 2, but I doubt they're worth 7 for 2 menus per. Or 200, actually. Everything's multiplied by 100 now. Even with it's all stability. Well, it's long. No, happiness is below 50%. Shoot, maybe it is worth it then. I don't know. 33 months. Take a little recalculation, but a little bit could make the difference between 3 a month. No, I'm gonna push up too. I don't think it's to make any of the text faster. Boom, then. 40 text. I don't think any excess science goes in overflow. I could be wrong. But even if it did, it wouldn't affect for a while. If it went back into stored research, it'd be a case of society a long time till that came to handy. Even with engineering. But it would then affect the tech after standardized Corvette patterns. Maybe. Need to figure out how to open the build queue when something like this is. Oh, there's a button. Next to designation.
Construction completed.
Learned something new today. Okay, food is nice, but trade, I could probably actually trade for more food. And the AIs then, so I'll just do a trade up. Already got a hydroponics bay on the way. See if I get enough alloys, it can very quickly get a Genesis Arc, which I really need to do soon. Until the food, it's actually going to be more an issue of alloys. Which, trade for some. Didn't lose any ships, but I'm pretty sure some were damaged. Anyways, there goes the mining drone. There's a debris field to research there as well. Definitely need science ships in this area. It was blocking surveying those last planets and then building an outpost. Bubbles is the only one damaged. Wow. Bubbles took a lot of hits. A lot of hits. Maybe I just grouped this ships up near the Ripper Lane jump point for a little while. Let them sit and let Bubbles heal a tiny bit. I guess the mining drones focus their efforts on the space amoeba for whatever reason. There's an ancient enmity between the two. Probably not. Oh yeah. Shoot. I just got the hours for this, but I should do another Corvette for that last bit of naval power projection. Should conveniently finish out this reserve fleet. Kinda didn't like having it just sit there with 19 ships. Of course, because of other demands of my allies, that might be the last one I build, even if I lose naval power projection in the future. I've got so much influence. Just be more worried about building star bases and Genesis arcs. Probably. Oh. This is in position. How long ago? They got there, I don't know. Cold heart potential shall be researched. On which I guess I risk. I don't know if Ice Asteroid's gonna hide Shitoids. Oh, that's actually the right path through all this. I'll go there. Usual temporal fluctuations, then. Actually, you know what? Shoot. I really need a star base here. We'll do that. I can double back there if I want. Could even take on this. Probably won't though. Just bypass Walmoro for now. Put an outpost in the top. And I can do one here, here. Keep the council for territory that may eventually peacefully annex them. I don't see why not. Yeah, they're just a prosperous unification empire, so I don't like they have unique origin. They're definitely getting absorbed at some point. Another origin. Never got an embassy on them. I don't know what the hive mind is, but yeah. If I had Nemesis, there's a better intel system, and I'd probably engage with it. It is most annoying. Never goes on sale, and people are like, ooh, it should be a constant price. I bought it at this price. This is just assholes wanting others to suffer the pain they did. Since the games have a limited lifespan, by which I mean they fall out of favor, newer games are released. Games like Stellaris are only good as long as they've got a decent community, and especially for a YouTuber like me, I'm not going to stream a game that no one plays anymore a lot of times. It's a true classic. Part of the reason I do this is because there's a large player base. I can get lots of subscribers in this game. More in views, more in many other games. And build more familiarity with it so I can stream more down the line. So the later I buy Nemesis, the fewer years I get use out of it. So it absolutely, and that's true of anyone, absolutely makes sense the price should come down. Not to mention just to reach people who would never have bought at the previous price point, no matter how many years you used, even if it didn't fall over time. They're going to get out of it. People may think it's unfair or some bullshit, but capitalism isn't about fairness. It's about maximizing profit. If you insist that socialism is wrong or something, you like capitalism, you should absolutely want companies. I mean, you should absolutely understand companies should be dropping their prices on things occasionally to reach market share that they couldn't reach otherwise. Periodic sales exist for a reason, so that you sell to people who would not have bought at the higher price point. and make some profit off them, and then make whatever profit you don't make over the people who buy sooner. The sales are infrequent, so that people who are willing to pay the extra for getting stuff they want right away will get it right away. That's profit maximization. That's capitalism. If you don't like it, well, I'm a democratic socialist. I can propose things like workers' cooperatives we can do to make things different. But if you're going to stick with capitalism, then companies like Paradox should at least do the sales aspect of capitalism to maximize their profits and let people like me who are very tight on money be able to experience the DLCs at the pain of I had to wait longer to get them for deeper sales. It's just, these are just resentful people who argue against it, who don't want others to. It's stupid and it's obnoxious antisocial behavior. Think I chose to be, or you think I chose to be disabled on COVID or to get paid barely enough to eat when I was in EMT? No. I saved lives. Plural. I mean, I saved at least 2, maybe 3 lives using my skills in EMT. Not that much, I didn't do that many 911 calls, but I did save lives. People alive today wouldn't be alive if not for me.